What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. And as promised, I have a special edition airport update today for my fictional Knoxville International Airport. Yes, it is a retro airport update today. Brought out a whole bunch of retro models as we can see here, and we'll be getting into all of these throughout the airport update today. But yeah, very exciting here to bring you a retro update. The time frame in terms of year, we don't have a time frame in terms of hour, just because that wouldn't really work for a retro update, unfortunately. So these all just there's not really a set hour. These are just all services that would have flown here back in the years of 2010 or 2011. So during and just after the United Continental merger, as this airport used to be a Continental hub. Of course, now we know it as a United hub, but it used to be a Continental hub, which is why we see this aircraft right here. This will be our first aircraft of the airport update, this Continental 777-200 in the Peter Max livery. Absolutely gorgeous model. I love this livery so much. This is the Dragon Wings edition, and it comes with a special stand. So, yeah, amazing model right here. And yeah, I just love it. We'll take some more seconds to admire it. This one is arriving in from Paris Charles de Gaulle, and we'll be heading out on a special domestic service after this. We'll be actually heading out to Houston, which was formerly a Continental hub. Next up here, first in line for departure, we have this Southwest 737-300 in the Silver One livery. This one is going to be heading out to Islip, and it arrived in from Baltimore. Here we have the Air France 777-300ER. This is taxiing for departure. We'll be heading out to Paris Charles de Gaulle. Also arrived in from there, of course. Next up here, this will be a bit tough with the lighting to get these taxiing aircraft, but our next aircraft is this Delta Connection CRJ-100. This is with the Comair tail operated by Comair. This is taxiing in from Cincinnati. Here we have the American 757-200 in the old breast cancer awareness livery. Missed the old American livery. This was a good one. This is taxiing out for the service to LAX. Tough to get the angle on this one, but here's the Cathay Pacific Cargo 747-400. This will be heading out to Hong Kong via Anchorage. That service is still in existence in the current airport updates on the same aircraft. If it'll focus better on this Northwest A320, of course, this airport update also taking place a bit after the Delta Northwest merger, although this aircraft is probably not realistic in its paint scheme. It likely would have been painted into Delta, or if it was still in the Northwest livery, into their final livery. But anyways, here's the Northwest A320. It arrived in from Minneapolis, St. Paul, and it's currently taxiing to the Gold Terminal, the C Concourse, which is not where Delta parks at the modern day at this airport. So more on that later. Next up here, we have this Southwest 737-700 in the Nevada 1 livery. And this aircraft is currently taxiing in from Chicago Midway, and this one will be heading out to Orlando. So we'll now move on to the cargo section and charters, beginning with this Sun Country charter right here on the 737-700, a aircraft that Sun Country used to operate but no longer does, but they did have a couple back in the 2011 times. So here it is, the Sun Country 737-700. This aircraft will be heading out on a charter service today out to how about what was the Bullhead City casino charter? I want to say that's what it's called in Arizona. Next up here we have this Kalitta Charters 727. This one I did not even think of a route for this one. Here we have a Kalitta Charter 727-200. This is a model that I really love, and I got to see this aircraft in person. Unfortunately, Kalitta Charters no longer has their 757s in real life in the modern day, but they used to, so that's why they're here. The Kalitta Charter 727-200 freighter, of course. This one in from Cincinnati, and it'll be heading out to Kansas City. And this is also going to be tough with angles and lighting and stuff, but here we have our first UPS aircraft, the MD-11, RIP the UPS MD-11s. This one arrived in from Chicago Rockford, and it'll be heading out to Dallas, Fort Worth. And we have a UPS 757-200 right here. This is in from Louisville, and we'll be heading back out there. We have the Lon Cargo 767-300 freighter. This realistic this time, as in my normal updates when I use this. Unfortunately, this was just painted into the Latam cargo livery, but still Lon, Chile in this time frame. So this one in from Santiago, and it'll be heading back out there. We'll cover this one last. Next up here, we have the FedEx Express MD-11. This one in from, this one in from Indianapolis, and it'll be heading out to Memphis. Kind of a short flight for the MD-11, but it'll do. Let's see if I can reach across the table and not have to walk over there. This is a big reach, but our first aircraft here is, oh man, it's not wanting to focus. The United Express C-145. This one, of course, now United has taken over, so all of our Continental aircraft are operated by United. This is our E-145. This one is in from Mobile, Alabama, and it'll be heading out to Memphis, Tennessee. CRJ-200 here, Battleship Gray. This one is in from, Charlotte, North Carolina, and it'll be heading out to, let's see here. I'm trying to think of routes that we normally don't use in airport updates, but this one we might have to just send out to Bentonville, Northwest Arkansas. Actually, I want to send that out to Little Rock. 2 Arkansas destinations, but I like Little Rock more. Here we have the E320 by United in the United livery. This one did get painted. Well, not from Continental, but from the older United livery. This one will be heading out to Denver, so hub-to-hub service, and it arrived in from St. Louis. We have a Continental 757-200 right here, of course operated by United, and this one will be heading out to Phoenix Sky Harbor, and it arrived in from, well, I should use another Continental route. That one arrived in from Newark, former Continental hub. Here we have a United Express E-170. These were in service with United Express at the time. This one is operated by, well, actually, I don't know who it would be. I'd assume Republic, although I'm not super familiar with regional operators at that time, but we'll say Republic, and feel free to correct me in the comments. This aircraft arrived in from, Norfolk, and it'll be heading out to Rochester, New York. And we have a 737-800 right here. This is in the Eco Skies livery, which is not realistic, but the aircraft is realistic, so I'm just trying to fit in as... I don't have that many like retro United or Continental aircraft, unfortunately, so making do with what we got. This one, it arrived in from Miami, and it'll be heading out to, let's see here, this will head out to Boston. Next up here we have this Air Canada Express CRJ-200. This one is about to push back for the service out to Toronto Pearson. We have a United 767-300 in the Old Star Alliance livery. This one will be heading out to London Heathrow. We have 2 Lufthansa aircraft in this update, which I also include in the regular updates, but these are, somewhat. One of them is not retro, but in the older livery. This one is retro. This aircraft's not in this livery anymore. The Expo 2000 livery, Hanover, for Lufthansa. This one will be heading out to Frankfurt. Arrived in from there as well. Here we have the Air Canada Jazz Q300. Not sure how realistic this would be to fly all the way down here, but it's a cool model. I wanted to use it. So this is in the old Jazz yellow livery. I miss these for Air Canada. They're a little bit weird liveries. I don't know, but they did look kind of cool, and I like this yellow one. I like the maple leaf on the tail. Looks pretty cool. Anyways, this aircraft, it arrived in from Toronto Pearson as well, and this one will be heading out a little bit later. We'll say that the CRJ-200 got delayed. Here we have the Lufthansa A380 heading out to Munich, and it arrived in from there as well. This one we see in our modern day airport updates, but, wanted to get it in here as well. This would have been a pretty new aircraft for Lufthansa, of course, at the time. So we have 747 and A380 in here as well. Here is the United 777-200 in the Blue Tulip livery. This aircraft is in from Frankfurt, and it'll be heading out to Amsterdam. And I still use this also in modern day airport updates because, I don't have any other United 777-200s, but love this livery. Miss the old Blue Tulip livery for United. One of the reasons I did the airport update at this time frame, other than I don't have many Continental aircraft, is because I wanted to get some of United's old liveries in here and have them be in here in a realistic context. Because at this time, United had a lot of different liveries in circulation, so that's kind of cool. Next up here we have the SAS A330 in the Star Alliance livery. This one is in from Copenhagen, and it will be heading back out there. SAS used to park here in the blue terminal and have since moved over to gold. But the old airlines that used to fly here were all of the ones in the Star Alliance, the original Star Alliance partners, as well as obviously United. Continental before, but at this time frame it was all these guys, and the rest would park over here. And speaking of which, we have one more aircraft here in the blue terminal, the U.S. Airways Express CRJ-900. This will be heading out to Philadelphia and arrived in from Charlotte. One more Northwest aircraft, the CRJ-200. Northwest actually used to park in this terminal as well, and when Delta merged with them, they moved into the C concourse. And so, anyways, here's this Northwest CRJ-200 taxiing out for the service to Memphis. And we'll end with the wide bodies because I like to do that. We'll get a better shot of the U.S. Airways Express CRJ-900 right here because that is a gorgeous model. I'm glad to use it in here. My only U.S. Airways aircraft, at least for now. Here we have the beautiful Frontier A318. This is another model that I absolutely love by NG Models. My only old livery Frontier aircraft. This one is in from Denver, and it'll be heading out to Trenton, New Jersey. That's a very interesting route. But yeah, they moved. I guess they took all these gates from American once they moved. But actually that gate is no longer Frontier. That's now where Breeze parks. So that's kind of interesting how the airlines have moved around here at this airport. Next up, we'll move into the American Airlines section with this 737-800 heading out to Chicago O'Hare. It also arrived in from there. We have the MD-82 in from Dallas-Fort Worth and heading back out there. And here is the American Eagle E-145 heading out to St. Louis and also arrived in from there. Yeah, missed the old. Actually, even the old American Eagle livery. All these were really good. I'm sad that they're no longer in regular use. Next up, we'll move on to Delta. Good to get this one in here in a realistic context, although my head is kind of blocking the lighting. Here is the CRJ-900 in the Comair 30 years of flight livery. This, of course, being one of the original Gemini Jet releases of the Delta CRJ-900, but not in the regular livery. This is in the special livery, so not as valuable, but it's still pretty valuable to my heart to have this one. This one in from Atlanta, and it'll be heading back out there. And here we have the Delta MD-90, and this aircraft will be heading out to Detroit, and it arrived in from there as well. Delta A319 right here, this is in from JFK, and is on the turn. And we have the Delta Connection UN-70 right here. This one is in from Washington Reagan National, and it'll be heading back out to Washington National. So all turns for Delta right here, but their presence was growing at the time at this airport, which is why they commissioned, well, they didn't really commission, but they were the main funders of this new terminal, which was mainly to serve Delta. We see one of their aircraft right here. They're testing out their jet bridges and all that stuff as this terminal was just about to open during the time of this airport update. This terminal is just being built and was ready to open later in this year, 2011. So that's pretty cool. All this brand new equipment, brand new terminal, and you can definitely see that the gold terminal is quite packed. So they could definitely benefit from moving like all of these aircraft right here and just putting them all in their own terminal. So that's what we see right here, finishing up the last bits of construction, testing out all the jet bridges, making sure that those all work well and are ready for opening. So that's what we see right there, and that's why there's only that one aircraft parked there, but that's just going to be sitting there. But yeah, mostly empty right here, but about to be not empty, and Delta's about to take it over and really up their presence at this airport. We'll now move into the D concourse, the big part of the gold terminal, beginning with Allegiant. Here is their A320. Then this aircraft will be heading out to Orlando Sanford, and it arrived in from Las Vegas, or Phoenix Mesa, actually. And here we have the MD-83. I think it's the MD-83, either the MD-82 or the 83, in from St. Pete, Clearwater, and it'll be heading out to Las Vegas. Here's the Spirit A319. This is going out to Fort Lauderdale, and it arrived in from there as well. Here's the Sun Country 737-800. I also want to point out how I miss the Spirit livery, and I miss Spirit Airlines in general, but this livery was their best. This is also one of my first. These two are like some of my first two Gemini Jets. Actually, they weren't my first two, but they are maybe second and third of my Gemini Jets collection, so that's kind of cool. Sentimental, parking right next to each other. Here we have Sun Country on their 737-800 heading out to Minneapolis, St. Paul, and it arrived in from there as well, of course. Here we have, maybe stretching the realism a little bit again, but I like my Q400s, what can I say? Here we have the Horizon Q400. This will heading out all the way to Portland, Oregon. Yeah, not sure about that, but it's here anyways. Yeah, gorgeous livery. That's in the 25th anniversary of Horizon livery. Yeah, very much like that. Here is the Southwest 737-700 in the New Mexico 1 livery. And this aircraft arrived in from Denver, Colorado, and it'll be heading out to Chicago Midway. We have Shamu here on the 737-300. This aircraft is in from, this is in from Dallas Love Field, and we'll be heading out to, kind of want to do a Florida destination for this one. See, I already had one going out to Orlando, Fort Lauderdale, I guess. And we have the 737-700. This one arrived in from Tampa, and it'll be heading out, pushing back out right now for Houston Hobby. Here we have the JetBlue A320. JetBlue did a big move from the gold terminal to the blue terminal. They're now where U.S. Airways parks. So this JetBlue A320 arrived in from JFK, and we'll be heading out to Boston. Here's the WestJet 737-700. WestJet used to serve Toronto, and this one arrived in from Toronto. It'll now be heading out to Calgary. Here is the Delta 767-300. They do not fly this aircraft in here anymore, at least not frequently. This aircraft is in from London Heathrow, and it'll be heading out to Amsterdam. So Delta still had a few international services here, but just London and Amsterdam, and they would expand that once they got this new terminal to play around with. And speaking of playing around with, we have a whole bunch of new, or well, not new, but a whole bunch of interesting retro wide bodies here, although most of these we see at the regular airport updates because I pretty much only have one of each of these airlines. And so we see them in the regular updates, even if they're out of date, but, we do what we can. Here you have the Hawaiian A330 heading out to Honolulu. It arrived in from there as well. We have the Iberia A330-300 in from Madrid and heading back out there. I really miss that old livery from Iberia. It looks much better than their new Euro white garbage livery. I love the stripes on it and the old logo. Everything about that is phenomenal. Here we have the British Airways 777-200 with the Hong Kong tail. This one is in from London Heathrow, and we'll be heading back out to London. And we have the EVA Air 747-400 in from Taipei, and it'll be heading back out there. Really cool model right here. Getting the cargo loaded up onto it. This will be heading out soon to Taipei, I should say. And here we have the Austrian 777-200. This one just pulled into its gate from Vienna, and we'll be heading back out there, of course. Where else but Vienna? And our penultimate aircraft. I almost had our final aircraft, but we still have one more. Unfortunately, bad lighting because now I'm on the wrong side. But we have the Singapore Airlines 747-400 Megatop. I actually got this model at Miniatur Wunderland in Germany. And fittingly, this will be heading out to Germany, Frankfurt. Really, it's heading out to Singapore, but it has to make a fuel stop in Frankfurt. So we still have the service today, actually, on the A380. So I got an upgrade. But it used to be on the 747, and here it is on the 747-400. I miss the days when we had multiple 747 flights into this airport. That's one of the main reasons I want to do a retro update. Just get a bunch of 747s in here. There's our other one. Excuse me, the Lufthansa one. So yeah, miss the days of the Queen of the Skies really being the Queen of the Skies. But the A380 is still nice, even though those are also kind of dwindling. But really, I don't even know if I feel like this is the god of the skies, although it's now dead. We have the Antonov An-225. I'm so glad I can use it in an airport update, in a retro airport update. The Antonov An-225. Look at this beast by Gemini Jets. I love this model so much. I'm so glad that I got it, even though that was really expensive. Absolutely gorgeous. I'm going to get angles of this from all sides because I want to milk this moment as long as I can. Because we have the Antonov An-225 in an airport update. Look at this freaking model. This is so cool. It arrived in from Kyiv and is now getting cargo. I guess someone needs fuel trucks. We'll send it out to Mexico City. Why not? I guess they needed some fuel trucks and they needed the Antonov to bring them because they're, I guess, so massive. Look at this big fuel truck. So yeah, the Antonov An-225. What a wonderful bird and model by Gemini Jets. Just absolutely gorgeous. I'm so glad that I got this model. It's so cool and so glad to include it here. And that'll wrap it up, this airport update. Hope you enjoyed this one. We'll get one last shot of the D concourse here, the gold terminal. Fantastic. This will be our thumbnail, actually. This looks pretty phenomenal right here with all the retro aircraft. Thank you for checking out this retro airport update. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll probably do another one at some point in the future, but that may be a little while because I pretty much used all my retro models in this one update, so maybe a little bit of time before we see the next one, but thank you for checking it out anyways. And I'll see you in the next one. As always, kia ora, good night, and auf Wiedersehen.